solar flares and radio bursts caused by them, and a surprising way, these solar flares can beach whales. Please see the video before this one, solar flares and radio blackout that we had today from sunspot AR 2816. It erupted, causing an M1 class solar flare, and we'll be having it at us today and tomorrow. It's a medium-sized solar flare, but we most of the times are not aware how this can affect the sea life. Now, this is a surprising way solar storms can beach whales. We did see in the previous video having to do with the radio blackout and radio interference. Let's see what it sounds like. A solar radio burst recorded May 6, 2019 by Thomas Ashcroft. This is from NOAA. Okay, this is just too much noise, and it goes on like this for about 2-minute recording. But you can understand how this is augmented in the water. And as we know, the whales have a very screechy cry that they have, and they can hear each other throughout the world. That's how sensitive their acoustic abilities are. Now, according to Dr. Tony Phillips, yes, solar storms can cause whales to beach. It's not just the plastic that they swallow that causes them to die, but also solar storms. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. The latest M1 class flare from sunspot AR 2816 caused this blackout over the Pacific Ocean, as you can see. Quite extensive. Now, Dr. Tony Phillips explains to us that sometimes whales do funny things. He is specifically talking about gray whales, but this has to do with all whales. They strand themselves on beaches for no apparent reason. No injuries, no illnesses, no obnoxious blasts from Navy sonars. They just get lost, he says. But why do they get lost? A team of researchers from Duke University and the Adler Planetarium may have found the answer, and it's a bit surprising. Their study was published in Current Biology edition. Biologists have long suspected that the whales have an internal compass, and that compass allows them to navigate using magnetic fields, much like birds and bees do. This would make whales vulnerable to space weather, for example, solar flares from sunspots. During geomagnetic storms, shifting magnetic field lines could confuse their internal compasses, throwing the whales off course. But that's not what the new study shows. The lead author, Jees Granger, PhD student in biology at Duke University, said, "We are really surprised by our results. Strandings were not correlated with geomagnetic activity. Instead, the best explanation seems to be the solar radio bursts, that terrible static sounding noise that we were hearing a few minutes back. Now, during periods of high solar activity, the sun emits broadband bursts of radio energy, and many shortwave radio operators have been surprised by a roar of static in their headphones after a strong solar flare. And whales seem to be tuning into this as well. They can hear it. And I explained that in the video before this one. This is what exactly some radio operators have heard over the Pacific, where the blackout was. Now, Granger's team looked at 35 years of gray whale stranding data compiled by NOAA. They said, "We chose gray whales because their species has one of the longest migrations of any mammal, and is near-shore migrator, suggesting that small navigational errors increase the risk of stranding. Only whales that likely stranded alive with no signs of injury, illness, emaciation, or human intervention, for example, like Navy sonar or entanglement or boat strikes, were used. They correlated the stranding with several long-running indices of solar activity, including sunspot number, radio noise, and geomagnetic activity. And the results are shown in their graphs. And according to the statistics, there is a 4.3-fold increase in the likelihood of a stranding on days with high levels of solar radio emission. On the other hand, there was no relationship between the strandings and geomagnetic activity. So this is an important result from this study, in part because it suggests how whales might be sensing magnetic fields, and one possible explanation for magnetoreception in animals is the radical pair mechanism. It's a type of chemical compass in which magnetic fields regulate a chemical reaction involving proteins. In birds, that reaction takes place in the bird's eyeball. Now, this type of compass can be disrupted by radio frequency fields. If whales have a radical pair compass, it could completely explain Ganger and his team's results. The new research could be life-saving as well. Stranded whales rarely survive, only if they're found in time by groups that have the resources to refloat them, which is pretty difficult, as we can understand, putting them back into the ocean. Now, Granger said using this correlation we may be able to make better predictions about when whales are at a higher risk of live stranding, and have the stranding networks be more active during those time periods. So these are, given the recent troubles of great whales, they need all the help they can get. This is what they found concerning their studies, that yes, the correlations of solar storm and beach whales do relate to each other. This is from Space Weather Archive, and I'll leave Dr. Tony Phillips' article. I'll leave a link below for you for this. Thank you so much for your support, and please leave your comments.